Well, hello there, my Next Gen fam, and welcome to Mentor Moments with Next Gen HQ. It is such a pleasure to have you all here with us today. So all we want you to do is sit back, take out your notebook or something you can whip out some notes on, and enjoy the conversation to come. We are so honored to have Lee Rubin on with us today. Lee is the founder of Confetti, which is an automated event planning platform that focuses on, love this, inspiring happier offices and making memorable events easy to plan. As you know, Next Gen HQ is all about the event work. So Lee, we are so thrilled to have you on with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We are so excited to also dive in and see what Confetti has been all about during these last few months where in-person events kind of haven't been able to happen for a variety of different reasons, and see how you continue to inspire happy offices, happy event creation, and all of that. So we'll probably just go ahead and dive right in if you're okay with that.
Yeah, with pleasure.
Amazing. So first off, a little bit of a Next Gen HQ tradition. We're going to start you off with some rapid fire questions because we just want to get to know you a little bit more on the personal side of things. So I've got
Cool.
three for you. Whatever comes to mind first comes to mind. Ready?
Yeah.
Amazing. What is one book that you'd recommend to others?
Ooh, Conversations with God. Just went for it, but it's not religious. It's more just spiritual. If you're like into meditation and personal development and thinking about life, then this is the book for you.
Amazing. I swear every one of these interviews I do, my book list just gets longer because there's so many I need to catch up on. What is your spirit animal?
A lion.
Oh, I love
Yeah, always resonated with that kind of animal. The raw, I guess.
that. And what is one way that you make your own workspace happier for yourself?
Ooh, I surround myself with a lot of snacks. I feel like a good snack around whether it's like some cheese and fruits and peanut butter pretzels. I have like a pumpkin cake next to me. That's what fuels me to get through the week.
Oh my gosh, I love that, especially the pumpkin cake. I don't know if you've ever been to Milk Bar before, or is it Milk, whatever the full name of that is.
Yeah, I've been there, but I didn't know that they have it's the crack pie. Is that where you're?
So I'm actually talking, they just released a pumpkin dulce de leche cake, I think is what it is, and
Oh
it is
wow,
amazing. So if you need
wow.
a little love, I do recommend that one.
Nice. I will put that on my list. I actually live a little pretty close to one.
It's perfect then. Amazing. Well, just again, thank you for letting us get to know you a little bit more. But now we're going to dive right into the story, right into the good stuff of how you've gotten to
Yep.
where you are today, and the path and the journey that you've been on, because there's so much knowledge that we ourselves can kind of take from that journey. But I'd love to kick it back because it seems like you have a really great educational background and even some previous professional work within the marketing and sales side of entrepreneurship and of everything we do. When exactly did your love of events kind of come to life for you? And was there a particular moment when you knew that confetti was meant to be your world and everything that you were working on?
Yeah. So at large, I was working for a company called ZocDoc, if any of you are familiar with it. That was one of my first jobs out of college. I was doing sales there. I've always had a very kind of deep hunch to go and be an entrepreneur from like a weirdly young age. Like I'm like, how is like a 5 or a 6 year old like stomping around being like, I'm going to be a businesswoman one day. But that was very much my story. And so when I was at ZocDoc and had the itch to kind of do my own thing, it wasn't surprising to me. I saw that we were spending a lot of money on a team level, departmental level, and a company-wide level for culture and to get the team together and to help retention and all the things that were important for the organization. And kind of the combination, I played around with a few other ideas before I really kind of settled in on confetti. But for me, what was and what still is one of the biggest indicators of a successful kind of startup or like an indication for an opportunity is that I very kind of like, I was doing interviews And I went to companies and I was like, are you guys struggling to put together your events? Just as I saw was happening at ZocDoc. And the biggest companies in the world were writing me checks to help them with this pain. So getting money from your customers to help you solve the pain point is one of the biggest indications. And that for me was kind of the green light that there's something behind this. But I have to say, my love for events actually really came in, like, it's very much like a real relationship like I have with the company, because I didn't think I was ever going to be in the world of event planning. It was never something that was like mega interesting to me. I always just wanted to solve problems for people and, quite frankly, make money, and that is, being done by providing value to someone. But I fell in love with the world of event planning as I continued to get to know the processes of the company and the potential, and how deep the customer pain point is, and how happy. Like I wrote a letter to the team this week, and I was like, in a world where people are making like guns and selling oil, like the fact that people are really enjoying what we're pushing out into the world is special.
Oh my gosh, I think that's so special, and to know that that's the value that you're bringing to the world, and it's just so pure and done from a place of, we just want to help people live and work in happier situations. I don't think there's anything better than that feeling.
Yep.
What do you enjoy more of? Do you more so love the event planning side of it, or do you more love the entrepreneurial hustle and the fact that you're kind of building from the ground up?
Ooh, that's a toughie. Because like I really would like to believe that entrepreneurs, like the majority of entrepreneurs, when they go out into the world, they're a true entrepreneur is like a serial entrepreneur, where they can fall in love with more than one idea that they have. And I'm very much driven to just the building process, and the creating process is very important to me. But as I said, at this point, it's become a very special kind of thing that we've been able to create by being so integrated with people's kind of like special moments in life. I think that I always like say, like, it's a privilege. Like, you're entrusting us to make these happy moments happen.
Amazing. Yeah, I mean, I think you've hit the nail on the head with that one. I think there's something very unique about entrepreneurs in general. There's the fact that we are always looking to be innovative and wanting to solve problems and help create impact. So in one hand, that could be very focused on one path, and then a few years later, that could be something very different. So it's just kind of the ebbs and the flows and the pivots that we as individuals kind of take in these journeys that we're on, for sure.
Yeah. There's also so many other problems to solve.
Absolutely.
You can get started on a whole list of problems that this world is going through. So I think that, there's just a very big opportunity, and like part of me like loves, the confetti spirit, and that is a super important part of life. But then when you also put it on a balancing beam with like global warming or poverty, and you're like, well, there's also a lot of other really, really important companies that need to be pushed out into the world. But we're doing what we can on ours.
That's it. And through this interview, you're helping other entrepreneurs find the power and the passion to push forward on their ideas to help impact the world too. So it's the full circle here.
Love it. Yeah.
But on that note of situations that the world is experiencing that it needs some more help and love and care with, I would love to kind of ask you as far as how the current situation that we're living in has really impacted confetti. So as I mentioned before, COVID has really hit the hospitality and the events industry pretty hard, right in our hearts, because we are just unable to gather large groups safely. That's just not really an option for us right now. So I would love if you could talk to us a little bit about what pivots you had to lead Confetti through, as far as what it looks like to dive more into the virtual and the digital space over what you'd been doing before.
Yeah. We've had to make a complete 180-degree turn. When prior to COVID, we focused on in-person events, usually experiences that happen at the offices of these organizations. So really integrated with their day-to-day culture, their weekly happy hours, their monthly town halls, their departmental gatherings. This is where we really thrived and shined. And then, COVID hit. And I got like an influx of messages of people like saying, we're like really sorry for the death of your business. Like, we know how much work and love you put into the company, and like, we're sorry that like, this is going on. And it's really weird looking back at the first few weeks of COVID, because I remember like there was this moment I was sitting at the office and I told myself, is this like a deal breaker? Like, is this what's going to happen now? Like, and I told myself like, all right, you have like the rest of the evening to feel a little bit panicked, but like tomorrow morning, like you got to get to work. We got to work now. And I put my head down. I remember like I was a little bit like I had like this naive energy to me where I was like, we're gonna be fine. We're going to pivot to virtual. Like that's what we're going to do. Um, and something I pride myself on, and I went into our first board meeting and I said, the last invoice that we got for a physical event and the first invoice that we got for a virtual event, the span between those 2 days were 10 days. So we pivoted super quickly. We worked so hard in the beginning of COVID. We were a very small team. I can't imagine what it would be like to have a really large organization, but we had the privilege of coming to the team and saying, let's not run to make any difficult decisions. We have, plenty of runway. Let's not lower salaries. Let's not lay anyone off. Let's get to work. And let's put all of our love and attention into virtual and make virtual a success. And we did that. And I mean, we've been growing 25 to 50% monthly, completely organically, ever since that. And it's been a roller coaster, but we're actually seeing what we call like the remote work opportunity that unfolded due to the past 6 months. So it's definitely was super hard, and is very like, my heart goes out to a lot of the businesses that didn't have that opportunity to pivot, but we were able to find the way. And I'm very grateful for it.
I was just in a conversation with someone last night on the phone about how you just phrased that perfectly, how the working remotely has presented in itself some opportunities, and you really needed to at some points really kind of dig to find the opportunities and see the glass as half full rather than as half empty. But I really think for especially a lot of the next geners we have within our network, they're young, they're innovative, they're entrepreneurial, they're ready to kind of make leaps and jumps depending upon what the world throws
Yep.
at them. So I do think we have definitely seen a really interesting positive light come from something that isn't necessarily the most positive experience we've all been through before.
Yeah, totally.
On that note, and seeing so much fantastic growth for you all within kind of the virtual experiences side of things, taking it into some advice and some tips that our entrepreneurs themselves can do. A lot of them are working with fully virtual digital teams right now. Some of them may have been in the process of actually just hiring and then having to switch everything around and really continue
Yep.
to make strides for their business. Do you have any top tips or recommendations that you would share with our audience as far as really creating a virtual experience that infuses a Zoom meeting and infuses a screen with a team's culture? What would be kind of a top tip or tactic you could give?
Yeah, I have a few. Well, one of them is if it helps for any of your kind of listeners out there, we offer a free demo game that's anywhere good for 5 to 10 people, depending on which experience you pick. So a lot of the smaller startups and groups can redeem that just by emailing demo@withconfetti.com. They can mention NextGen, and we'll be happy to gift them that. on that note, I think that like with Zoom, having like less times to connect, but making those times meaningful is really important. Thinking them through, getting them professionally managed with a company like Confetti. But if we're talking about like day-to-day Zoom meetings, there's a few things that you guys can do. Like there's just like little icebreakers, like starting off similar to how you started this conversation off with like a little like icebreaker to kind of get people comfortable, fun, rapid style questions. When COVID ends, what's your go-to escape that you would love to go vacation at, or where would you go right when the borders open, or all kinds of like fun questions. What's your spirit animal, or what's your favorite cocktail, to get just people talking. I also think that it's good to, when you start a meeting, lay out the agenda. Try to have different people be responsible for different places, so it needs to keep them engaged. So for example, Jenna's behind the scenes in this talk, but she's the designated note taker. And it's important to go into meetings having that designated note taker as well. But definitely quality over quantity.
Absolutely. It's definitely something that I'm learning more and more with every single meeting I have, how to ensure that they are full of intention and that at the end of it, you come away with that end goal of whatever that meeting was for. So definitely tips that I could even use myself. So thank you for that.
Yeah, with pleasure.
Amazing. And I know we are very quickly running into the 20-minute mark of this interview. So we have one final question to go ahead and kind of wrap things up. But Lee, you yourself are a fantastic leader and entrepreneur that I know a lot of our members want to follow in your footsteps of everything you've been able to do and accomplish. And I know more and more coming in the future. But we would love to hear from you. If you could answer the question, what is your hope for the next generation of leaders? What would you say in response to that?
Ooh, so I've been recently listening to the podcast Dare to Lead. And I think that, it's really important to funnel in vulnerability into the workplace. And that going into COVID, I told the team, this is new for everyone. And like, it's important that you guys recognize that it's like, besides the fact that I'm a new and young manager as it is, like, this is new for everyone. And I can't even go to like other experts for their opinion. Like, how do you manage a team remotely? Like, during a pandemic, because nobody's ever really done that before, not with tech, not with our circumstances. And to have that dialogue be an open one with the team, like, hey, what do you guys need to be successful right now? And put that responsibility for culture on everyone. I say, I am not the leader of this pack just solely culturally. All of us contribute to the culture, and therefore all of us are shaping it. All of us are going to change it. All of us are going to request, for things to be done. And it's important that we keep the dialogue open and we talk about things and be vulnerable and say, I'm reaching my limitations. I'm being burnt out. I need something. And that's what I would say to do with your team, is just be authentic and be vulnerable with them.
Over communicate rather than under communicate, and inspire everyone on your team to know that they are all the culture bearers of what we were all building together.
Yes, precisely.
I love that. Well, Leah, thank you so much for taking the time to come and chat with us today. We so appreciate every word that you've shared with us.
Thank you. I enjoyed it a lot. So thanks so much for giving me the opportunity.
Absolutely. If a next gener is curious to get more connected to yourself or Confetti, how can they best do that?
Yep, absolutely. So we're pretty much like an open book. So my email is lee@withconfetti.com. We are hiring pretty aggressively. So if anyone really loves the event planning world, or is interested in being part of a startup that is ironing out operations, and every day looks a little bit different and challenging, and wants to build something from the ground up, I definitely recommend them to reach out to me personally.
Amazing.
Or if you're interested in just planning an event, plan@withconfetti.com.
Thank you so much for that. Next Geners, go chat, go connect with Lee, go share this fantastic opportunity that she has just mentioned. And we will be with you on another episode of Mentor Moments with Next Gen HQ soon. Bye, everyone.